This is the Sean Hannity Show podcast.
Speaking for most of the Trump supporters, while we will support President-elect Trump in whatever he does, I think we would be enormously disappointed if he brought Mitt Romney in any position of authority.
I think that there was the Never Trump movement, and then there was Governor Mitt Romney. We're all for party unity. I don't think a cost of admission for party unity has to be the Secretary of State position.
Do you think this election was stolen?
We don't know. What we do know is that this was a hack-riddled election.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution. We burning down the night, shooting bullets at the moon, baby. This is how we roll. Sean Hannity. The new Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
All right, glad you're with us. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of this extravaganza. It's 800-941-SEAN if you want to join us. Some irritation, I see. Hillary allies appeared irritated with Jill Stein. You know, talk about fake news. I'm going to get to that in a second. Politico is now claiming that Hillary Clinton's allies are actually angry at Jill Stein for contesting the election on Hillary's behalf. Well, then why is Hillary participating? Now, Hillary's closest allies, they're irritated with Stein, according to Politico, and Stein's increasingly loud calls for recounts have still struck a particular nerve among top Democrats who are close to Clinton, some who feel that the constant Clinton antagonist has put them in an impossible position. They don't see the results changing, and they're desperate not to look bitter or raise hopes that of Clinton's most diehard supporters and David Brock, of all people, Clinton ally, whose network of Democratic political firms supported the nominee's White House bid, said to top party donors, you know, they were asking him whether they should contribute to the Stein effort, but he said he was already focusing on the incoming Republican administration. We're focused on a watchdogging the Trump transition. In other words, what I told you is going to turn out to be reality, which is they're never going to stop the campaign. Everything's going to be about delegitimizing, smearing, slandering Trump. There's not going to be a honeymoon here. And I'm telling you, the left, and I go back to these very people that need their Play-Doh, crayons, coloring books, aromatherapy, dog therapy, kitten therapy rooms, their hot cocoa from their teachers and professors.
This to be a joke. I do not believe this is happening. I'm literally about to kill myself, and I'm not kidding. You better fix this right now. I literally am going to die. I need an ambulance.
And she's not kidding. And they're just going to now transition into madness. And that madness is going to turn into anger. And that anger is going to turn into a divided country. And you're going to see the Occupy move on. Black Lives Matter. Obama, Hillary Clinton, alt-left wing of the Democratic Party become totally, completely unhinged. And it's going to get ugly. And that's my prediction. And it's going to get uglier than you think. Look, you know, here Democrats, you know, for example, look at what they're doing now. The top story on the Drudge Report is Democratic secret, in or out. Are they going to bring back the loser, Nancy Pelosi? Now, she should go. If it was the Republican minority leader, they'd be gone. But rather than admit maybe they have, I have a painting called The Forgotten Man in my studio. Thank you, Linda, for the print. I appreciate it. And I've got it in my studio. And the picture is amazing. All 43 presidents, this is pre-Trump when it was painted, and a guy sitting on a bench, Obama standing in front on the Constitution, James Madison said, "What are you doing? You can't stomp on the Constitution." And every other president is there, and the White House is in the background. And I have said and stated, and I believe that this is the forgotten man election. All those statistics about people in poverty, food stamps, all that out of work, it matters. Democrats don't think they need to change their policies. There was a great piece written by McClatchy today. You know, they have a brawl breaking out on Capitol Hill. When it's done, Democrats say they're going to be okay. I don't think so. because they're not going to change their strategy. They have, forget about the Republican Party. Republican Party has their problems still, but they have a chance. As Ted Cruz rightly said, this is their chance to get everything right now for the American people and get some stuff done. And if they do, I keep going back to the Trump agenda. The Trump agenda is conservative. Conservatism can solve the problems that Obama has caused and the problems before Obama. Creating jobs won't be that complicated when you drop the corporate tax rate, when you get rid of Obamacare, when you become energy independent, allow repatriation, incentivize millions for factories, manufacturing centers into the areas that most need them in Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, Ohio. Those are the people that are suffering the most. That's why they changed their votes. That's why they said they've had enough. And that's what this election has got to be about. But the Democrats, they think that the only thing they've done is they just delivered the message in a wrong way. No, it's not the message. It's the failed policies. Liberalism doesn't work. Socialism, stateism, redistributionism doesn't work. It's been tried and it's failed. Also, this globalism isn't all it's cracked up to be either. And I'm not saying this as somebody that supports any type of trade policies that could be described as protectionist. But I do believe that if, for example, we're going to allow the import of products from countries that are charging a 40% surtax on an American car being brought into their country, that's a problem. So free and fair trade is what I would like to see. And through, steady, smart negotiation, you're going to negotiate better trade deals. But, you watch these people and you've got the Nancy Pelosi supporters. They're still there. They want to double down on losing. They want to double down on stupidity. The Republicans will have at least 238 seats. Democrats will have about 194. Maybe they've gained 5 seats this year. 3 races are still undecided, all lean Republican. And, now Paul Ryan has a partner in the White House. Now Mitch McConnell has a partner in the White House. They kept saying, well, we can't do anything if we're only 1/3 of the government, or only 2/3 of the government. We don't have the White House. Now you have the White House. Now you can get some work done. Or the idea that, as Mediaite reported, Keith Ellison, it's kind of bizarre, his background and leanings, and some of these questions were first raised when he ran for Congress in 2006, and even the Weekly Standard noted that Ellison, likes Louis Farrakhan, defended the Nation of Islam spokesman, and Khalid Abdul Muhammad, and speaks in the voice of as a Nation of Islam advocate. And his former name was, I guess he was writing at the University of Minnesota Law School under the name Keith Hakeem. And he demanded reparations for slavery and threw in a demand for an optional separate homeland for American blacks. Is this now the new Democratic Party? Is their answer always the same, just to move a little further to the left than where we were, and that's going to get us there? I don't think so. Now, look, for those of you thinking, I remember James Carville. He wrote the book Democrats for Generations to Come. We'd be naive to think Republicans are going to have to earn your vote moving forward. The best thing that they can do is keep their promises. And for Trump, it's drain the swamp would be one of them. Don't have a 2-tier justice system, which we'll be debating later in the program about Hillary Clinton. Certainly, the issue we've learned in Ohio is we have more problems with refugees than we ever imagined. So I think you just keep those promises. Keep the promises on the economy, on health care, eliminating Obamacare, energy independence, education back to the states. Build the wall. Not a fence, build the wall. If it's going to be a fence in certain areas, he didn't say the whole southern border, but as much as we need it built. And we need it built quickly. I noticed that failed Democratic VP candidate Tim Kaine, he tweeted out after what happened in Ohio yesterday against gun violence. The guy used a car and a butcher knife. He didn't use a gun. So why didn't he tweet out, we need to restrict guns? Restrict knives and restrict cars. These people are so dumb, it takes my breath away sometimes. We did learn some things about this slasher, this knife-wielding jihadi who put 11 Ohio State University students in the hospital, apparently blamed Islamophobia for turning him into a terrorist. didn't we have it a little bit backwards? Wouldn't Islamophobia disappear for the most part if we didn't have so many radical Islamists perverting a religion and terrorist attacks taking place like every other week? The UK Daily Express pointed out that the student who stabbed 11 people on campus had previously slammed the U.S. media for making him scared to pray in public. I don't think anybody cares if you pray in public. You want to get down and pray, get down and pray. Nobody's going to really pay that much attention. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So I don't think that was... Oh, and by the way, here's Lindsey Graham. This is more of Trump's problems. I haven't spent enough time, and people have been calling me out on this. You haven't gone after all these never-Trumpers, Hannity, and I don't have a problem because they're irrelevant. They have rendered their opinions irrelevant. They have been so spectacularly wrong so often on so much this election season. I just don't care. But, yeah, I'll make the point. Lindsey Graham, never-Trumper. Jeb Bush, he had great ideas he laid out yesterday. I'm like, too bad you rendered yourself irrelevant by not keeping your promise. He should have kept his promise to endorse the nominee. I saw John Kasich yesterday, and he's another one. I'm like, typical politicians make promises, they don't keep them. If Trump wants to be a successful president, Donald Trump needs to keep his promises. I don't think it's that hard. Or John McCain, I will not discuss President-elect Trump, okay?
I will not discuss President-elect Trump, okay? So, and that is my right as a senator. I do not have an obligation, man, to say, to answer any question I don't feel like answering, okay? I'm responsible to the people of Arizona. They just reelected me overwhelmingly. And I will not speak about Donald Trump. And I don't want to be asked again.
You can see the sabotage beginning to emerge. What are these Republicans going to do? We know Harry Reid disposed of the nuclear option. Are these Republicans not going to have the same standards if the Democrats and Chuck Schumer start filibustering a Supreme Court nominee and try and hold up every single piece of legislation that's going to advance the Trump agenda? Because that's all coming. I know, I'll tell you right now, if they won't fight for things that are going to make the country better and what they ran on, then I think what we've got to do is just move, push all of them out. Lindsey Graham, Trump needs to prove voter claim fraud. Lindsey, why don't you just switch to the Democratic Party now because it's inevitable? You just go. You and McCain can just go. I mean, if that's where you want to be, if that's where you're going to stand, I mean, if that's how you view yourself, good luck with the voters in South Carolina. Yeah, let's see. Hillary donation lands Angela Merkel in hot water. That's pretty interesting. I will say this. I am spending a lot of time taking a lot of heat as it relates to the media because of my comments. And what do I mean by that? Because it's very, very important, I think. There's a headline on Mediaite right now, Hannity. And it was an interview I did with Matt Boyle on Breitbart Radio. It's our affiliate channel, a Patriot, and Sirius XM Radio. And he goes, why does Donald Trump need a White House press office? And they quoted me for the most part. I'm not mad at Mediaite. I'll even go out and retweet it in a minute. But I'm happy because they write, Hannity took things up a notch with his recommendations that Donald Trump should lock the media out of the White House. I didn't quite exactly say that, but isn't that part of draining the swamp? You have the Republican establishment. That swamp needs to be drained. The Democratic establishment swamp needs to be drained. And the media establishment swamp needs to be drained. Now, the difference is they're going to say, well, Hannity, you have opinions. But I am known to have opinions. I state them frankly and up front. I'm not acting fair, balanced, and objective like these news organizations claim to be. And I said that it was the most underreported story out there. And they're not going to cover the fact that they themselves, meaning the media, they're not covering their coverage in WikiLeaks and what WikiLeaks exposed about them, how they colluded with the Clinton campaign, helped Clinton, gave questions to her, or asked the DNC, in the case of Wolf Blitzer's show, for Trump and Cruz and Carly Fiorina through the DNC. And what I said, and they quoted me accurately, this is all, they're now hyperventilating about fake news. They are fake news. That's them. This is the alt-radical left media. And it's now clear for everybody to see. They're not fair. They're not balanced. They're not objective. They're not reporters. They're advocates. So why are we going to do this song and dance and have a White House press room and a dog and pony show every day, and they're hostile to Trump on every single issue when Trump doesn't need them? I mean, this would be the equivalent of 45 Sean Hannitys in the Obama press room. Because basically there are 45 Clinton supporters in the press room against Donald Trump and whoever his press secretary ends up being. What a thankless job that would be for either, I guess, Laura Ingraham or Monica Crowley are up for this. Like, good luck to both of them. They can have that job. They both would be great at it. They're both friends of mine. I love them both. But, I mean, who needs that aggravation every day? I'd go nuts. Anyway, so I just think their credibility has been, and I give Mediaite credit, they quoted me correctly, crippled. They were stunned over the Trump victory. And saddened, too, because that's not who they wanted. That's not who they were pulling for. And my argument is people do not need them anymore. That day and age has come and gone. And if any of these news organizations were involved in collusion with the Clinton campaign, I raise the question, why do they deserve a seat in the White House press office? They don't. Why does Donald Trump even need a White House press office? He doesn't. You know, you can have a pool standing by if there's anything they need to report, but why do we have to have the dog and pony show every day? That they act like they're fair and balanced and we know they collude with Democrats. What's the point? Anyway, 800-941-SEAN is our number.
Hannity Headline. A bite-sized version of the show that you can take with you everywhere you go. To sign up today for Hannity Headlines, go to Hannity.com.
Sean Hannity, always concerned for our country, always honoring our servicemen and servicewomen, and standing up for liberty every day.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Is that people think that Donald Trump is a clown.
Donald Trump is a clown. I mean, does anybody seriously think that Donald Trump is serious about running for president?
Donald Trump, you know, he's a clown.
Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
So basically, this is the beginning of the end for Trump.
The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end?
This is probably starting of the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency.
The strongest person usually isn't the loudest one in the room.
So right now we have Hillary's about a 75 or an 80% favorite. We have different versions of the forecast you can look at.
Poll has Hillary Clinton up by double digits nationally, 12 points, 50-38, four-way race.
Clinton leading in Florida, Clinton leading in North Carolina, Clinton leading in Ohio, Clinton leading in Nevada. I could go on and on and on.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? It's been fun. It's been great. I love you. But come on, buddy.
We have a major projection right now. Donald Trump will take Ohio. And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida. Huge win for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, we project, will win in Kentucky, in Indiana, with its 11 electoral votes. West Virginia, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, North Dakota, with its 3 electoral votes, and South Dakota Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, the state of Montana, North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, Utah, Wisconsin, Arizona, Kansas with its 6 electoral votes, Nebraska with its 5 electoral votes, and Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. A lot of people have laughed at me over the years. Now they're not laughing so much, I'll tell you.
No, they're not laughing so much. That's like my favorite thing that we play on the program now. I could hear it again when Bill Maher is laughing at Ann Coulter. It's just great. And or when well, at least I'll be able to say president. At least I'll be able to say that. Well, you can see Hillary Clinton winning in Ohio, winning in Wisconsin, winning in Michigan, winning here, winning there, Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina. She's winning basically everywhere. I can keep going, but what's the point? Donald Trump is going to win Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and he'll be the next president. Huh? And I've been, all these people, I find it amazing that the media is so shocked. Every time I say this, and I'm going to do my opening monologue on TV tonight about this, every time I go over how, unless and until these major news organizations, NBC, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, New York Times, Politico, all the major networks admit that what they did was wrong. Why have a White House press office? What's the point? Because it's basically you're putting in there people that say they're fair and balanced. They want relevancy. We don't need the mainstream media anymore. They're done. They have been exposed as being corrupt. They have been exposed as choosing a side. They have been exposed as basically no different than what I am, except at least I'm honest and they're not. And that is the most underreported story. Maybe I just need to go back and start doing specials on what WikiLeaks taught us about the news media in this country. Maybe I'll do that. There's just so much news every day. It's kind of hard to do. And, they're all now hyperventilating about this hysterical fake news caused Donald Trump to win the election. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're all fake news networks. It's not a news network if you're colluding with the Clinton campaign. It's not a news network if a moderator of a debate cries when her candidate didn't win. It's not a news network if you're asking the DNC for trick questions for Trump, Cruz, and Fiorina. It's not a news network if you're tipping off Hillary Clinton on what the questions are going to be ahead of time. It's just not. This is their news division. It's not their, what did Chris Cuomo tweeted something out? When are they going to, or said something today, and I saw it. I'm like, Chris, this is why you're liberal and nobody watches. It's really simple. He's tweeting out, well, can't anybody at the Trump campaign or Trump transition office prevent him from tweeting out stupid stuff? Well, that's your opinion, Chris. And if you want to be a newsman, I guess you do, then if you want to have an opinion show, then just say it's an opinion show. I mean, I don't have any problem with Chris. He's actually a very nice guy in person. I like him. But it's not news. So anyway, I think the media credibility in this country, everything that I said, in 08 has been proven true. Look at the surprise over Trump's victory. I was not surprised. Were you? I was not surprised. What did I say before the election? There's no outcome in this election that would surprise me. And I hoped that what I saw, the trends that were happening, would play out as they did. That was my hope. I was hoping those crowds would translate into voters. They did. I was hoping the Brexit effect was real. It was. I hope the lack of enthusiasm for Hillary was real. It was. But there's always, you never know. I'm very superstitious. All these people go out on a limb all the time before elections and tell you what the outcome is going to be. I never believe it. I also warned you, this audience, don't believe the exit polls. Well, I was right again. If you believe the exit polls in 2004, John Kerry, I voted for the 87 billion before I voted against it, he would have been president. But thank God he never became president. Some bad news, a little frightening news out there. the State Department announced that they would be combing through Anthony Weiner's laptop to see which of the emails are not too X-rated to be released. Wonder what State Department worker gets that great assignment. And I think they'd probably want to wear a hazmat suit before starting that job. The FBI plans to send more Hillary emails to the State Department to be processed for public release. Okay, we'll see which ones are appropriate, which ones aren't. All right, we have two choices. Jamie Dupree sending me his notes today, the two cabinet picks. You got Price. Tom Price has been a regular on this program. He's a doctor. He's from Georgia. We've had Price on the program a number of times. We like him. And he has his own plan. He actually had a substitute plan. If I remember, it was some form of health savings accounts. We'll have him back and go over it again. But he was somebody that actually thought through what the alternative would be. Elaine Chao for transportation, who happens to be married to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. And so let's see, Jill Stein has until an hour from now, well, actually 2 hours from now because it's 4:30 Central Time, to pay the $3.5 million for the Wisconsin recount. She called the amount outrageous. Well, you have no chance of winning. Why should we pay for your pipe dream? And you're colluding with Hillary to get it done. That's all Hillary does. She colludes with the media, colludes with Donna Brazile, colludes with the DNC to screw Bernie Sanders. This is right out of Central Casting Hillary 101. Congress back to work. GOP somewhat excited, except for John McCain. They know it's going to take a lot of work to reform Obamacare and get tax reform and other things moving. I think the big question is going to end up being Mitch McConnell and what he's going to end up doing. We'll have to wait and see on that. There was a study out. My friend Rowan Scarborough pointed to a cooperative congressional election study done by 28 universities, 50,000 people sample, broken down into smaller samples. They had one series of questions on a voter's status. A sizable number acknowledged that they were non-citizens who voted. The three scholars took the results, extrapolated that, and how many people voted nationwide, albeit illegally. In their paper, they concluded that 6.4% in 2008 and 2.2% in 2010, a non-presidential year, were non-citizens and not eligible to vote. The 2012 census, Scarborough points out, said there were 22.3 million non-citizens living here. Whatever happened to the 11 million? Of those, 11.9 million are over 35, 10 million are 35 and under, 80% are 18 to 35. So it gives you a number of 20 million non-citizen adults. In 2008, 6.4% would equal 1.28 million non-citizen voters. In 2010, it would be 440,000. So you can assume 2016, according to the the Cooperative Congressional Election Study, that would be over 1 million illegals voting this year, which is what that would show. Is that Narain Enwaya? Hello, Narain. How are you? Good to see you. She's been so good with the Christians. I mean, there's been mass genocide. Send Narain in here. Come on in. Say hello. She's done such a good job helping these people, and she's really dedicated her life. There's only one way to describe what's happening worldwide, and that is there has been a Christian persecution at a massive scale that's underreported. But there's a story out today that points out that, 99% of the refugees that we're taking into the country are not Christians, even though Christian genocide has been well documented. Narain, I know you're here to see Linda, not me, right? Everybody's here to see Linda. Nobody comes to visit me. How are you?
Good, Sean. How are you? Glad to be here.
It's great
to see you. Of course, I was here to see you as well.
See me as well. Notice the as well comment added here. Listen, I know we don't have a lot of time, but you have been amazing at standing up for Christian persecution worldwide, especially your home country is Iraq, correct?
Absolutely. And
the Yazidis, and there has been a Christian genocide that the world's not paying attention to. But, we always talk about refugees, 99% are Muslim. Why is the world ignoring this genocide?
Lack of information, carelessness, negligence of even mistakes that we've made as Americans that we have an obligation to fix. And also, a lot of people have forgotten the Christians in the Middle East, and especially in Iraq, where it started.
Aren't they being purged for the most part? The genocide is almost complete, right? They're purging.
Yes.
There will be no Christians left.
Absolutely. And it started long before ISIS. This is the longest lasting genocide in history. And what Americans also don't understand is that if we remove Christianity and the ancient Assyrian Christians in Iraq, it's a brewing issue. And as you can see, Sean, it has leaked out to the world. We are seeing catastrophic attacks, terrorism, radical Islam hitting so many different countries and towns, and there are sleeper cells in the United States. I can confirm that according to intelligence information from Iraq. This is definitely their prime target, their prime area where they want to eventually declare jihad.
Well, this is to advance the caliphate, but what you have seen among your countrymen and women is convert or die, and a real purging and a real genocide. And I think it has been underreported, and I know your group has been doing, incredible work to try and help. And
well, you've been doing an incredible job, Sean.
Well, I just put you
team.
on, so yeah.
And
by the way, how is it that Linda becomes best friends with every single guest? Everybody comes up here with gifts, bearing gifts, not for me, but for her.
For you as well. And actually, I got you an Assyrian Christian shirt, and
did you really?
It symbolizes the world's oldest Christians for you.
That's really kind.
Yes.
I honor this. This is really, really.
And our entire community, all the Christians in Iraq know about you and what your entire team has been doing, and they have. I have publicly announced it to our entire political leaders and told them how much, because this really means a lot.
Listen, I told you personally, privately, and I'll say it publicly. I don't want you moving back to Iraq. I know you're very involved. You want to save your country, and I admire you for it. But it's too dangerous,
Sean.
Because you will be a target. Let me ask you one question: was it true the Iraqi people celebrated the election of Donald Trump?
Oh, absolutely. We were all for Donald Trump because we know the corruption that stands with Hillary. Hillary is directly funding, supporting ISIS. It's not a manipulated story. It's not exaggerated. This is the truth.
Well, how is she funding them?
Because she is allowing, for example, the funding of Syrian rebels. The Syrian rebels, they are directly working with ISIS. We have people on the ground that are saying that they're handing their weapons over to ISIS. And then another thing that she does is accepting all these donations from Saudi Arabia, as you know, Sean. And actually, I'm not even sure if I've already shared this with you, but this recent updates, we have received all these interrogation results. So we have been interrogating these terrorists, ISIS terrorists, and they've all been saying that the Saudi prince, the Saudi royal family, has been directly funding ISIS.
And we take a million barrels of oil a day from them. And that's why I keep saying we need to be energy independent. Listen, what's your website? Because it's so good to see you, Nareen Anwaya. I finally got to say your name properly. And I know you have this group. Real quick, what's your website? Because I got to go.
Yeah, so www.nareenanwaya.com, and then they can follow me on social media too. I can give them, some more.
Link it. No one will remember this. Put it on my website, and we'll get it up in the next 5 minutes.
Yes,
okay?
And Sean, the most important thing for Christians, just one more thing, is there has to be a safe haven internationally region, and
that's why I want a safe zone.
Exactly.
There should be a safe zone.
Exactly.
Right,
we need a safe zone. Thank you, Sean. God bless you.
All right, Noreen, God bless you too. And have a great Christmas this year.
Thank you.
This is the Sean Hannity Show podcast.
Speaking for most of the Trump supporters, while we will support President-elect Trump in whatever he does, I think we would be enormously disappointed if he brought Mitt Romney in any position of authority.
I think that there was the Never Trump movement, and then there was Governor Mitt Romney. We're all for party unity. I don't think a cost of admission for party unity has to be the Secretary of State position.
Do you think this election was stolen?
We don't know. What we do know is that this was a hack-riddled election.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution. We burning down the night, shooting bullets at the moon, baby. This is how we roll. Sean Hannity. The new Sean Hannity More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
I had not sent classified material nor received anything marked classified.
Secretary Clinton said she never sent or received any classified information over her private email. Was that true?
Our investigation found that there was classified information sent.
So it was not true.
Right.
That I am confident that I never sent nor received any information that was classified at the time it was sent and received.
Secretary Clinton said there was nothing marked classified on her emails either sent or received. Was that true?
That's not true. There were a small number of portion markings on, I think, 3 of the documents.
I never sent classified material on my email, and I never received any that was marked classified.
Secretary Clinton said, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
People across the government knew that I used one device. Maybe it was because I am not the most technically capable person and wanted to make it as easy as possible.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
But we turned over everything that was work-related, every single thing. Personal stuff, we did not. I had no obligation to do so and did not.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
All I can tell you is that when my attorneys conducted this exhaustive process, I did not participate.
Secretary Clinton said her lawyers read every one of the emails and were overly inclusive. Did her lawyers read the email content individually?
No.
And we have to restore trust between police and communities. We are all safer when everyone has respect for the law and everyone is respected by the law.
All right, hour 2, Sean Hannity Show. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of the program. And here's a big question, and I don't think it should be that complicated. Do we have a two-tier justice system? Do we have equal justice under the law? If, for example, David Petraeus pays a big price for the fact that his girlfriend got a hold of his schedule, which was apparently all it amounted to, and it ends up with him losing a top position in the government, does Hillary Clinton get a free pass? Also, now a lot of questions are being raised. Well, whose call will it be? It's not going to be Donald Trump's call. And I know that he was trying to be gracious when he was on 60 Minutes and unite the country together, which every president-elect ought to do. But it's going to be the choice of the Justice Department. It's going to be based on evidence and the incoming Attorney General. And anyway, based on that, do they have a case that Hillary Clinton broke the law? For example, just a simple mishandling of classified material means you can go to jail. If you destroy classified material, that is a felony. We have identified 16 separate, what we call the Rudy list of felonies that she may have committed. Peter Schweizer knows this topic better than most. As a matter of fact, the FBI apparently referenced his book while doing an investigation into the Clinton Foundation, which apparently is ongoing. He's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Clinton Cash, the untold story of how and why foreign governments and businesses helped make Bill and Hillary very rich. How are you, sir? Happy Christmas coming up here.
Hey, thanks so much, Sean. It was great to be on with you, and Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yeah. You know, I want to ask you this simple question. Is it clear to you, based on the FBI talking to you, that they're serious about the investigation into the foundation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My contact with them began in the summer of 2015, shortly after the book came out. The last direct contact I had in terms of sitting down and talking to them specifically about stuff in the book was in February of this year. And we know that in February of this year, they went to the Department of Justice to ask for more tools. They had, it's not just the stuff in the book. They had a wiretap information from another investigation they were doing on money laundering, where the subject of the Clinton Foundation came up. And based on that information and additional material they collected, they asked for subpoena power, wiretap capability to investigate the foundation, and they were stopped by the Department of Justice. And, Sean, my view on this, and I think you would share this, is, look, let's investigate and find out what we can that actually happened. The decision, if President Trump decides, for the sake of unity for the country, after all of this, that he wants to pardon her, that is his prerogative. If they decide to prosecute, that's their prerogative. But we don't even actually know precisely what went on, and I think that's what we need to let the FBI do, and that's why I think we also need to have a special counsel or an independent counsel look into this so it doesn't get, tied up with this whole political debate.
Yeah, and I think that would be probably the best way to go, because I understand Trump wants to get his agenda started.
Right.
And I don't blame him. There's a lot of Obama's mess that he now has to begin the process of cleaning up and creating jobs and protecting the homeland and certainly building America's position up in the world again. I think we have taken a big hit in the last 8 years, so those are probably his top priorities. Hillary Clinton is now, frankly, in the dust. She's irrelevant to him, and I think he was trying to be gracious when he made those comments, but it really isn't his decision, is it, in any way?
That's right. And here's the thing, Sean. Donald Trump is like everybody else who has run for president. I mean, I think, would like to be reelected, and he wants to go down in history as having a successful presidency. He will be a successful president when he gets the economy going again, when he strengthens America's position in the world. What he does or doesn't do with regards to Hillary Clinton is not his main concern, because that's not how his presidency will be measured. However, it's important that justice be done, because 3 out of 4 Americans in recent surveys believe that the laws and rules that apply to them don't apply to political leaders. So my view is he should not comment on the case. He should not, even in the sake of national unity, say he doesn't want bad things to happen to them. He should just not talk about it. Let the FBI, let a special counsel do their thing, and when they come out and report what they found, then he can make that decision as president. But just let the wheels of justice turn that they would with anybody else.
Yeah, I think it's really that simple. How many laws have you identified that she may have broken, and how many are felonies?
That's a great question. I think 15 to 16. I have the same count. Part of that is related to pay to play with the Clinton Foundation. Part of that is, and this gets a lot of people thrown in jail, lying to the FBI, where, clearly you saw in the testimony before Congress and her statements to the FBI, she made statements that were clearly not accurate and truthful. So I put it at 15 to 16, but those are only the ones that we know of. I think that if you give the FBI these tools, my understanding, Sean, I was told by the FBI there are 5 field offices that are looking into this: Los Angeles, Little Rock, Arkansas, Miami, Washington, and New York, and the FBI office in Lagos, Nigeria has also been looking into this. So we still don't know how big this iceberg is, and I think we need to first figure out how large it is and what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, I think it's large, and I think it's ongoing, and I really do believe that everybody that was chanting, lock her up and drain the swamp, they meant it. And that's what I would convey to the new incoming Trump administration. I think you're right. I think he should stay out of it. He should focus on the things that he was elected to do. And
well, that's right. And
by
also,
the way,
Sean,
and it's wrong. It was wrong for Obama to weigh in on it. And similarly, I think it would be for Donald Trump. It's not his call. This is where, we do have separation of powers. This would be the decision of the Justice Department. It shouldn't be influenced by a president.
Well, you're right, Sean. And also, here's the thing, and I've made this point with you before, and I think we agree. This is ultimately not just about the Clintons. I mean, if this kind of pay-to-play is allowed to take place and it's not investigated and it just sort of goes away, guess what? Plenty of people in Washington, D.C. are going to pick up the mantle and do the same thing. They're probably already doing the same thing. And so the point is, this is not about what the fate is of Hillary Clinton. It's about maintaining the integrity of an American political system that 3 out of 4 Americans don't think is clean and don't think is honest. So we owe it to the American Republic, to our system of government, to our citizens to see this investigation through. President Trump can then decide, whether he wants to pardon or not. The Attorney General can decide whether to prosecute or not. But at least it will put on notice other powerful political figures who are trying to do the same thing or are indeed doing the same thing right now.
We should have public servants, and a lot of these people forget they are there to serve the public. And that's why I think the public is now angry. We have seen that they are frustrated. They feel the country by almost 80% is headed in the wrong direction. and they deserve honest governance, service, and then these guys need to go home. Anyway, Peter, great book, and it played a very big part, I think, in this election, the narrative about who Hillary really was, and they laughed at your book. They attacked it when it came out. You took a lot of heat for standing up, but it turned out you were proven right and validated completely, and I give you a lot of credit for that. So, and as always, you've always been very generous with your time on this program. Thank you for sharing it with our audience.
Well, I appreciate it, Sean, and you were there from the beginning until now, consistently emphasizing we just need to get to the truth. So I appreciate your commitment to just trying to get to the bottom of it.
Well, I've always known you're a great reporter, and I know you do your hard work and you do diligence, and you just want to get to the truth, and that's all our audience really wants, and they deserve. The American people deserve that. Thank you. 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. All right, let us say hi to Bob in Vegas, KDAWN Radio. What's up, Bob? How are you? And we're glad you called, sir.
How you doing, Sean? Thank you. Yes, sir. People have been talking about what they should do to Hillary Clinton, the Trump administration should do, but what I think is more important people aren't talking about is all the people who were corrupt in the Obama administration, like Laura Lerner, Holder lying to Congress. Nobody's been held accountable. If nobody's held accountable, we will get another corrupt president in the future, and the same thing will happen. In America, we almost didn't survive this presidency, and we will not survive another corrupt presidency. And the Trump administration needs to hold people accountable, so people will.
I'll tell you this: the whole idea of criminalizing political differences, which is not the case with Hillary Clinton. I mean, I know, based on my understanding and reading the law, it's very, very cut and dry that she violated the law. Now, in the case of people, conservative groups, Tea Party groups, Catherine Engelbrecht's group, all these other groups out there that were intimidated after 2010, heading into 2010, into 2012, and harassed by the IRS. It was all an effort to stop people from participating in the political process and intimidate them using the IRS as a weapon. And I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, you don't use the IRS as a weapon. There's laws, you pay your taxes, and you shouldn't be harassed by a government agency because of your political views. And I would argue probably Donald Trump, who's been audited 18 times, has experienced this in his life. You know, I tell you, I mean, it's kind of a scary situation throughout the Obama years. I have to tell my accountant, you just pay the extra money. Just pay the extra money. I don't want to pay the extra money, but I know that every single thing on my tax return is being heavily scrutinized. And why do I believe that if I got one thing wrong, I wouldn't be given a chance to make it right? I'd probably be handcuffed, perp walked, mugshotted, and put in jail with Bubba. And I don't want to go to jail with Bubba. Wouldn't it be fun? Hi, Bubba. How are you? Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate the call, Bob. Miguel is in Miami, Florida. News Radio WIOD. How are you?
Good, Sean. Good. I wanted to comment regarding Mrs. Clinton as well as some of the other callers. And I think that Trump made a very good will gesture in saying that he doesn't intend to pursue any prosecution. But I think being the progressives that they are, hiding under that progressive umbrella, they took it as a sign of weakness, and hence you have that challenge to the Electoral College votes.
Listen, I don't think it really matters what they challenge with the Electoral College votes because it's not going anywhere. Nobody thinks it's going anywhere. There is no evidence whatsoever that prompted this. It's dead in Pennsylvania, it's dead in Wisconsin, and it's dead in Michigan. All this is an effort to delegitimize the president. The very thing that Hillary Clinton lectured Donald Trump about during the third Nevada debate, the Vegas debate, is the very thing she now is a big part of. So
yeah, weakness is not a good thing to show these people because they don't want to unite the country. They'd rather have us divided, as you know.
Listen, I did not particularly love the last two election results, presidential election results. And I was the loud, voice of opposition. And to me, it's very, very simple. See, you just sometimes in life, you don't get what you want. You got to learn to win. You got to learn. This is why I love sports for kids, especially individual sports for kids, because they learn to win. They learn to lose. The harder you work, the better you're going to do. It's really that simple. And you've got to be a gracious winner. And if you lose, as long as you tried your best, had a good attitude, okay, what are you going to do? Tap your racket, say good job, congratulations, and then learn to be a gracious loser. And then work harder so you can win the next time. That's simple. And now this is our time, we won. And so I'm glad. I'm pretty happy about that. I've experienced losing, and I know what it's like. It's not fun.
Hannity Headline, a bite-sized version of the show that you can take with you everywhere you go. To sign up today for Hannity Headlines, go to Hannity.com. A time for choosing. You decide if America lives or dies.
All right, 25 till the top of the hour. By the way, winter's here, at least for those of us now in the Northeast, unless you like to play golf in 40-degree weather, which I guess you can, and you have some hand warmers. But it means all of us are going to get that sore throat, that scratchy throat. I make my living with my throat, so I need the best throat drops when, in fact, that happens, which is fairly frequently in the wintertime. And I have the number one ranked throat coating action drop that you need to know about. Number one, and that, of course, is Pine Brothers Softish Throat Drops. So they're the best. They got great coating action that you feel immediately. They've got natural flavors. They're amazing. They got wild cherry, honey, licorice. I love them all. It's kind of hard to choose sometimes. Now, I've turned a lot of people on to Pine Brothers, and this winter, when you have a sore throat, scratchy throat, we'll put one in. The first thing you're going to say is, wow, this tastes great. Second thing you're going to say, wow, I can feel my throat being coated. It works that well. So do what I do to soothe my throat. Take Pine Brothers Softish Throat Drops. You're going to love this product. It's worth every penny. It is the best by far. And you'll find Pine Brothers at CVS, Select, Walmart, Target, ShopRite, because they're the best.
I had not sent classified material nor received anything marked classified.
Secretary Clinton said she never sent or received any classified information over her private email. Was that true?
Our investigation found that there was classified information sent.
So it was not true.
Right.
That I am confident that I never sent nor received any information that was classified at the time it was sent and received.
Secretary Clinton said there was nothing marked classified on her emails either sent or received. Was that true?
That's not true. There were a small number of portion markings on, I think, 3 of the documents.
I never sent classified material on my email, and I never received any that was marked classified.
Secretary Clinton said, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
People across the government knew that I used one device. Maybe it was because I am not the most technically capable person and wanted to make it as easy as possible.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
But we turned over everything that was work-related, every single thing. Personal stuff, we did not. I had no obligation to do so and did not.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
All I can tell you is that when my attorneys conducted this exhaustive process, I did not participate.
Secretary Clinton said her lawyers read every one of the emails and were overly inclusive. Did her lawyers read the email content individually?
No.
But if I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it. And we're going to have a special prosecutor. When I speak, I go out and speak. The people of this country are furious. In my opinion, the people that have been long-term workers at the FBI are furious. There has never been anything like this, where emails and you get a subpoena, and after getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails, and then you acid wash them, or bleach them, as you would say. So we're going to get a special prosecutor, and we're going to look into it, because you know what? People have been... their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done. And it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I told Senator Kaine last night, if either of our sons in the military handled classified information the same way Secretary Clinton did, they'd be court-martialed. I mean, that's the hard truth of all this. And the American people are tired of it.
You saw the man with a picture of the submarine. His mother goes around. She's devastated. Devastated. took pictures of a submarine.
They took the kid who wanted some pictures of the submarine. That's an old submarine. They got plenty of pictures. If the enemy wants them, they've got plenty of them. He wanted them. Took a couple of pictures. They put him in jail for a year. I saw his mother the other night on television. I'll tell you what, folks. We've never been in a situation like this.
Why didn't they protect a kid who's taken a couple of pictures of a submarine that's an old submarine? And they put him in jail. They put him in jail. Lovely family, lovely mother. They put him in jail because he wanted to have some remembrance of where he worked.
And we have to restore trust between police and communities. We are all safer when everyone has respect for the law and everyone is respected by the law.
All right, as we continue, that was Donald Trump during the campaign talking about U.S. Navy Petty Officer First Class Christian Saucier. He was now sent to a federal prison for 1 year. His crime, taking 6 photographs because he was proud of working in a U.S. submarine. It happened to be a classified area. He took it for his own personal use. Cell phones were allowed at the time to be on the sub. And so that made it a big deal. It wasn't a big deal to have a cell phone at that time. They now have since been banned, but not at the time that he took the pictures. Anyway, the mother of that Donald Trump was talking about is Kathleen Saucier. And he had to leave behind his mom, his wife, and his little daughter, I think 1-year-old daughter. Yes. And she joins us now in studio. Also, Ron Daigle is with us. He is a new lawyer for the Saucier family. He came out of retirement to work pro bono to help get Christian Saucier either a presidential pardon or help get him out of jail any way he can. He's an Iraq War vet. He's from Granville, New York, a police chief and town justice. Good to see you, sir. How are you? And you also got your service dog with you.
Yes, I do, Sean. Thank you very much. You're a great American, and I hope you know that all the veterans love you, absolutely love you.
Listen, I love you guys, and I love what you do. I noticed that you're training a service dog. You know that woman back there, Lauren, is trying to train one, but the dog's not very bright, and the dog treat is she's not going to make it. But I'm offering to make this a Hannity show dog, and then we'll move on to the next one and see if that dog can do a little bit better.
See if that dog's a little smarter than this one, or
well, the thing is, the last dog she trained was a lot like just docile. I mean, perfect to be a service dog.
Yeah.
All right, this dog has a lot of spirit. Let's put it that way. And every time Daddy, that's me, walks into the control room, well, Treat just jumps all over me for no reason at all, and it's...
Are you serious right now?
What are you talking about? Am I serious?
Kathleen and Ron, you seem like good people. I'm sure you can see through this this veil here of total crap.
Okay, it's not a veil of total crap, because every time I walk in, you weren't even here yesterday.
What's that got to do with anything? I'm here every other day.
I don't say jump anymore, and the dog dies all over me.
Don't say jump anymore. Operative words anymore.
Well,
you're a lawyer, Ron. I think he loses. What do you think?
He's trying to keep the dog. It's
That's
pretty
right.
obvious. I think he's trying to hang on to
Listen, there is some truth to that. I do love Treat. I love the dog. And I know Sunshine, your best friend in there, is going to be crying the day that dog is sent to service doggy school.
I think you're going to cry.
I'm not going to. I don't cry. It's impossible. You
no
can't make me cry.
In politics.
That's correct. All right. Well, anyway, we're having all this fun. And here's poor Christian Saucier's mother, Kathleen, who we love dearly. You know, Donald Trump made those remarks the day after he saw you on my show. And I'm glad he did see that. And he even asked me about it. And he wanted more information. And I told him, and I don't even know what to say. It's such a sad story. Here your son is a proud, petty officer, first class, in the Navy, serving his country, proud of where he's working. He's working on a submarine, which, by the way, is a pretty gutsy thing to do. You wouldn't catch me dead in one of those things. There's no room to live. I'm like, get away. I need room. I need my own room. And serving his country, now he's in jail. How's he doing?
Well, I think I mentioned it when I was on the show, and we had just started out, so we're taking one day at a time. I'll let Ron talk in a minute because he had an opportunity to meet Chris for the first time last week. He went and visited him there in prison. This is something, as you said, my son did when he was 22 years old at 9 years, in 2009, so quite a while ago, 7 years ago. So he's paying a price for something he did at 22 years old. And so how is he every day? I don't even know if I can get in his head. We just say one day at a time. Let's just get through today, Chris. And I say that to his wife too.
And he won't, he's the type of guy, I'm assuming, being a military guy, is not going to complain to his mom that things aren't as ideal as they should be, although it's got to hurt. I saw the video. We played the video on my TV show of you guys dropping him off at jail. That was a moment I did want to cry. I felt so bad for all of you.
Yeah. So I think the hardest thing for me is seeing this young man who was so proud to wear a uniform, wearing a different type of uniform, and he doesn't walk with pride anymore. And it's hard. It's hard to keep him hopeful, but I just keep saying, Chris, we're going to get through it one day at a time. And I can tell you, like Ron said, the veterans love you, the public loves you, they hear your show, and the guys in there have actually said to him, hey, I heard your, mom on TV, or I heard Sean Hannity talk about your mom again. And so I think that gives him hope, but he's so afraid to have too much hope. What he does tell me, like you said, he doesn't complain. He says, well, my bunk's a little bigger than it was on the sub, and, food's a little better. I have more space. He'll say things like that. And one of the things I had mentioned to, one of your producers here that has that dog that we'll not talk about,
right.
Is that my son is having an opportunity to train a puppy to prepare to be a service dog for PTSD.
And he was just getting it the last time I saw you. Did he get the dog since then?
He did, and the dog's name is Harper.
Harper?
Yep.
And what kind of dog is it?
It's a black lab.
Oh, awesome. I love it. I have a lab now. I have a golden.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, well, it's a golden lab retriever kind of mix. And I got to I love the dog. And does that help him? Did he tell you that makes him feel a lot better as a companion?
Well, it gives us stuff to laugh about when we go, my daughter-in-law, my son's wife, because Chris was never a poopy-scoopy sort of dog. So part of his responsibilities as the assistant trainer is to be a pooper-scooper. So we kind of laugh about that. And so, yes, I think it gives us something to laugh about. It gives us something to say, hey, how's Harper? Instead of saying, so how is it going in there? He can talk about the dog. So I think that that's been a blessing. So it's going to bless a service member at some point with PTSD, but it's also blessing Chris right now.
I hope he trains the dog better than Lauren's training the current dog that we have here on the Sean Hannity Show. Ron, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing to help this wonderful family out. And I know you came out of retirement to do this. You're also involved in the training of service dogs. That's the one thing we all here have in common. I mean, I've adopted little Treaty in there, and I love that dog. And so where does this stand? I mean, getting a pardon from Obama, if your aim is not Clinton, I'm thinking your odds aren't very good.
God, that's too bad you dashed my hopes, because I was sure that Obama would give us a pardon on this.
Yeah, I don't think you really believe that. But
no, I don't. There's no chance of getting a pardon for President Obama.
You don't think?
We know that.
You want to wait till President Trump is in office.
We're going to have to wait till President Trump is in office and make some contacts. And he's mentioned it because of you. He's mentioned it on the campaign trail.
Yeah, he asked me about you. He asked me about you.
See, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You've made a big difference already in raising elevating the notoriety of this case so that everybody knows it. The only problem we're having is we're having a real backlash, or not a backlash, but we're trying to break into the mainstream media. So far, good luck with that. I knew you'd say that.
You mean fake news that colludes with Hillary Clinton? Those news people?
We'd really like to get on the mainstream media as well, but...
Well, I have a bigger audience, so I think you're better off here.
Oh, no question about that, Sean. We're much better off here.
But I'm very happy that Mr. Trump is aware of your case.
Yes.
And I can assure you of one thing. I will personally make sure that he gets a hold of any materials you have. And I think I can do that. I mean, obviously, I'm friends with Kellyanne and Steve Bannon, and I know that they're aware of your case as well. The whole team is. Let me just ask one or two questions. He only took these pictures for his own personal use. In other words, he was very proud to be working on a submarine. He loved his job, right?
Yes, absolutely. He loved submarines since he was 2 years old, I swear, but really since he was 6, he would come to Connecticut and go to the sub base and take the tours. My brother or my dad would take him on tours of subs. And when he told me that's what he wanted to do, I said, no, you're not doing that. And then, of course, that's what he did. So he has since he was a boy. He used to build models of submarines.
Wow.
When he was little. And, so yes, it's
There's probably also a part of him that wants to serve more and continue his career, right?
Right. There's always been a part that has wanted him to be a lifelong. Part of the issue with that, unfortunately, was Chris was injured when he was underway. So he was physically injured as well as having mental health issues now related to his service, which that's my other concern is his future, is that he's not going to receive any benefits for those injuries that he incurred while deployed on the submarine. I think he would love to serve in the Navy. I think, as I said, it's his lifelong dream. I don't know if physically he would be capable of that because of his injuries.
Now, people can help. I understand you've set up a GoFundMe site. It's on our website, Hannity.com, and where people can donate to help with to defray some of the legal costs for you to try and get this effort done. And is there a specific location to find that except for my website? Or
Sure. We also started a Facebook page. It's American Patriots Against Double Standards. So It would be great if they could go on that page. We presently have about 16,000 followers, and we're ecstatic about that.
You know what? We'll link that, too, to my webpage, and this way people can get it right from my website.
Great.
No.
I want to, maybe if Ron could just mention that he did get a chance to meet Chris last week, because I think that's really pivotal, what he felt.
I did, too, and I just want to make a point of clarity is that the sub, when he took pictures of it, was 30 to 40 years old.
Right.
Russians probably had pictures of it 10 years after it was in
service. Well, other
service.
people did the same thing at the time, and they just got a demotion. The exact same thing at the exact same time.
And that's the same thing, Sean. I've been in the military. I was in the military, and part of my job was to investigate some of the complaints about people using these, photographs, taking pictures and stuff like that, and they would get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
But they would get in trouble. They would get maybe a demotion if it was really serious, or we'd confiscate the pictures or something like that. So a year in prison is absolutely unheard of.
It's unconscionable, and it's unfair, and there's a double standard, and especially, we're going to be discussing Hillary Clinton here in a minute, all that she did and all the laws that she broke. And, people say, oh, just let it go. I'm like, no, we don't put Christian Saucier in jail and let Hillary go. But listen, we're still praying for you, and it's up on my website, the page to help out and defray some of the legal costs. I really appreciate Kathleen and Ron. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, God bless you, too.
This is the Sean Hannity Show podcast.
Speaking for most of the Trump supporters, while we will support President-elect Trump in whatever he does, I think we would be enormously disappointed if he brought Mitt Romney in any position of authority.
I think that there was the Never Trump movement, and then there was Governor Mitt Romney. We're all for party unity. I don't think a cost of admission for party unity has to be the Secretary of State position.
Do you think this election was stolen?
We don't know. What we do know is that this was a hack-riddled election.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution. We burning down the night, shooting bullets at the moon, baby. This is how we roll. Sean Hannity. The new Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America. Coming up next, our final news roundup and information overload hour.
Hillary Clinton is the most corrupt person ever to seek the office of the presidency of the United States. She should be locked up. She should. And if I win, I am going to ask my Attorney General to appoint a special prosecutor to look into her crimes, because what she did is a disgrace to the United States of America. When we win on November 8th, we are going to Washington, D.C., and we are going to drain the swamp.
And we have to restore trust between police and communities. We are all safer when everyone has respect for the law and everyone is respected by the law.
All right, that, of course, during the campaign. Now questions are rising whether or not a Trump administration will and should go after Hillary Clinton if, in fact, crimes were committed. I don't think it's a hard question. If crimes are committed, they're committed, and we have equal justice under the law. It shouldn't be a difficult or hard question. Anyway, joining us now, Leslie Marshall, host of the Leslie Marshall Show, Fox News contributor. Also, D.C. McAllister. She's with the Federalist and PJ Media. Welcome, both of you, to the program.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Leslie, explain in any way if Hillary, in fact, broke the law. I believe she did. I've identified them. even the mishandling of classified information is a crime. Destruction of emails is a crime. If it's proven that she's broken the law, I'm sure you would agree with me. Enforcing the law is paramount for everybody, right? That we shouldn't have a two-tiered justice system.
Well, here are a couple of problems with that, Sean. Right now, as you know, there are different people we see walking in and out of Trump Tower. General Petraeus is one of them. And some people, even Republicans, seem some hypocrisy here with, Petraeus and the chance of...
But you know what? I didn't... Petraeus paid a price for what he did, and what he did was so minor compared to what we're discussing about with Hillary. And I understand the need for a talking point here, but I didn't ask you about David Petraeus.
Well, with regard to Hillary, here's the thing that I think from a political standpoint, not just a legal standpoint, which President-elect Trump does have to consider. He has made numerous promises that are going to take not just time, but a lot of money. And as you know, if you're going to have any type of an investigation or independent counsel and meetings and just hours and hours.
But that's not what I've asked you. I asked you a very specific question. If she broke the law...
The answer to the question is, if it is going to derail everything that you promised the people who elected you to do, you may say, you know what?
Well, that was one of the promises we just played that he made. Look, I just had on, and you obviously weren't listening, I just had on Kathleen Saucier, and her son, U.S. Navy Petty Officer, First Class Christian Saucier, is in jail for a year. His crime, he took 6 pictures inside his submarine. By the way, he was allowed to have a phone for his own personal use because he was proud of the work that he did for his country. He's spending a year in jail for 6 pictures. And my question to you, and I'll stay on it, do you accept in any way that we should have a two-tier justice system?
I don't feel that we should, Sean, but I also don't feel that the time and money spent will lead to her being locked up, which is the only outcome that a lot of people that want this to go forward.
Well, if she broke the law, like Christian Saucier, then she should be prosecuted. Or you mentioned David Petraeus. He paid a huge price for, what was basically giving out his schedule to some woman that he was writing a book on him that happened to be his girlfriend, D.C. McAllister.
We also know that nobody can prosecute her if she's pardoned by President Obama, which there is still time for that to occur.
No, President Obama, the power of pardon, I agree, is absolute. And he can pardon her just like Gerald Ford did Richard Nixon for crimes committed or that may have been committed.
Right.
Do you think, D.C. McAllister, that's going to happen?
It might happen, but it shouldn't happen. And the fact of the matter is that we are a country with rule of law. We don't kowtow to politics. We don't have a separate political class. We shouldn't have. The whole point of this election and the whole thing that inspired the people to get out and vote for Donald Trump was anti-elitism, anti-establishmentism, this favoritism that's given to these political elites. And it's going to infuriate people that the rule of law is not being held as a standard for these people. And it should be. And it really shouldn't be about money. It shouldn't be about politics. It shouldn't be about what, holding political deference to your opponent. It should be about the law, because this affects all of us. It's an example. It's about what we hold as a principle as a country. And if we let our laws slide for people in power, then we're all threatened by that.
I'm sitting here amazed. An American that's sacrificed his life for his country and is out there fighting for his country. I'm just amazed that he has to go to jail. And you're saying, well, it might be too expensive to go after Hillary Clinton. Look, we've identified so many laws that she's broken. We know she's lied about these things. I think it played a big part in the election this year, and that is that Americans never trusted her and felt that she was dishonest and untrustworthy. And there was a poll that came out, even the exit polls that came out, 57% of Americans think that if she broke the law, she should be prosecuted like everybody else. And I find this amazing that you don't want the rule of law applied to the high and mighty Clintons.
No, I'm not saying that at all, Sean. What I'm saying is there is a reality. This is a 2-term position if, in fact, the American people want to give you a second chance to continue on what you have promised on. Donald Trump has made, I think, more promises than I have heard anybody make, left or right, running for this position that are timely and costly. And that drain the swamp mentality wasn't just on the right. It was on the left as well as independents who look at Washington, when you look at the favorability rating or approval rating of Congress, is even lower than that of, Hillary Clinton or President-elect Trump. So the bottom line is, if the American people perceive that, again, Washington is ignoring the most important things to them, and as much as some people may hate Hillary and may want justice, they want jobs and a robust economy, maybe lower health care prices more.
We can't sacrifice justice on the altar of economics. I mean, that flies in the face of very standards that we live by in this country, because freedom and liberty are rooted in our laws.
So if there is then, based on what you desire, an investigation, and they find that there is no absolutely, they don't concur with you regarding criminality versus negligence, and if there is no arrest made,
that's not Donald Trump's.
No indictment. We're right back where we are at the moment.
But
an investigation would have happened. The process would have gone forward. If we have a special prosecutor, then that would have been honored. And if at the end of the day they find that there's not enough evidence to indict her, then fine, we need to accept that. But to say on the front end that we shouldn't do it because of money or because of politics or because of
haven't there already been not a special prosecutor, but hasn't there already been the FBI that said we don't have enough evidence to indict her?
They had enough evidence, but they also said that she didn't mean to do it, which was completely inappropriate and under the fog of politics right there. And also the Clinton Foundation and the pay-to-play there that needs to be investigated. So there's more to this than simply the email.
All right, let me move on to another topic because it's very important. That is the future of the Democratic Party. By all accounts, there is a really strong push to remove Nancy Pelosi as minority leader. One of the leading candidates is a guy by the name of Keith Ellison, who is a Democrat from the great state of Minnesota. And here's a guy, as Mediaite pointed out, that he once called for a separate country for black Americans.
Well, but Steve Bannon is the devil, right?
Well, apparently, according to the left.
There's no consistency in this.
But anyway, his writings show under the name of Keith Hakeem raised eyebrows when he announced he was running for Congress in 2006. And Ellison referred to Minister Louis Farrakhan, defending the Nation of Islam spokesman, and Khalid Abdul Muhammad. And Hakeem demanded reparations for slavery and threw in a demand for optional separate homeland for American blacks. Now, by the way, Khalid Abdul Muhammad is a guy that I debated before he died, and he once said, kill the women, kill the babies, kill the children, kill everything white that's not right that's in sight.
Get out of town by sundown. I say if they don't get out of town, we kill the men, we kill the women, we kill the children, we kill the babies, we kill the blind, we kill the cripple, we kill the crazy, we kill the faggots, we kill the lesbians. I said, God damn, we kill them all. He said, well, why kill them all? Why kill the women? First, why kill the babies? They're just little innocent blue-eyed babies. Because, God damn it, they're going to grow up one day to rule your babies. Kill them now. Why kill the women in South Africa? I said kill the women because the women are the military manufacturing center. And every 9 months they lay down on their backs and reinforcement rolls out from between their legs. So shut down the military manufacturing center by killing the white woman. Why kill the elder crackers? The old crepit crackers in South Africa. How in the hell you think they got old? They got old oppressing and killing black people. Yes, sir. I said, kill the cripple, kill the hellfire, kill all God. Kill them all. Kill the faggot, kill the lesbian. And after you kill them all, I said that day about Mandela to let you know what he really knows about me, don't know a damn thing. I said, then you go to the goddamn grave and dig them up and kill them again because they didn't die hard enough.
Yeah, that's a guy worth defending, right?
Oh, my.
Well, first of all, Sean, let's be clear. Is that Keith Ellison or is that Khalid Abdul Muhammad?
That was Khalid Abdul Muhammad, but as I stated,
very familiar with him. This is a man
his writings,
who's also an anti-Semite,
right?
Who, when he had a heart attack, a Jewish surgeon saved his life.
Okay, can I just finish? Because this is a guy that Keith Ellison, while he was at the University of Minnesota Law School, supported Farrakhan, supported this guy, said blacks should have the option of choosing their own land based on or remaining in the United States. And since black people toiled most diligently in the southeastern section of the United States, this land quite naturally would be most suitable. And then he mentioned specific states, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi.
Well, what's interesting is that the associations would be shady characters that Democrats have. They're not held accountable for that. Just like Barack Obama with Reverend Wright. They're not held accountable, whereas the right is. The Republican Party is. Throughout this campaign, we were sitting by the association with the alt-right and racists over here that the Republican Party will be stained for eternity and delegitimized. But this doesn't happen to the Democratic Party. And I want to know, where are the Democrats calling out and wanting, cleansing within the Democratic Party, which they called for the Republican Party?
Well, I don't think there needs to be a cleansing, but I do think there needs to be left and right responsibility.
I agree.
Whether we care more and are tweeting about things that are not significant in this country, or whether the fact that there are people's lives being threatened, as you just heard in that video from a man who's now deceased, or from the letters that went to 3 mosques here in Southern California where I am, basically saying that, what's going to happen to the Muslims is what Hitler did to the Jews. This is if we're truly going to have a time of unity within a party, Democrat and Republican, and as a nation, under President-elect Trump, I don't see any evidence of that happening across the board, quite frankly.
I can tell you that it's going to be very simple to judge how good a president Donald Trump is. Because if he keeps his promises, I argue that, as I predicted, Obama's policies would fail if he allows repatriation, a 15% corporate tax bracket, eliminates Obamacare, moves to energy independence, the economy is going to grow. And if he takes a tough stand on refugees and builds the wall, our homeland's going to be safer. And if he keeps us out of foreign conflicts, then America's going to be better off, too.
And I think people are going to be treated fairly. If we have any kind of uprising and any kind of violence, it's really coming from the left. We can't just spread the blame.
I think it's really, quite frankly, irresponsible to blame left or right. I wouldn't do that. There are individuals on both the left and right who are fueled by hate. And then I believe we need a leader. When people say give Donald Trump a chance, and trust him, left or right, male or female, black or white or other, that is earned. I have not seen him say anything except for one time in an interview with Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes, stop it. It's not stopping. It's not enough.
You know what, Leslie? You just can't win. You're still fighting a campaign that you guys lost. And now your party is moving to the alt-radical left on steroids, and nobody in the media will talk about it, but it's going to become apparent to the American people. That's my prediction. Last word, D.C. McAllister.
Well, there's an ideology. You say you don't want to say the left. There are individuals, they do make those choices, but there's an ideology on the left that's counter to liberty, that is actually a violent ideology to upend our republic. That you don't have that in the mainstream right, or you don't have that kind of activity on anywhere on the right that's actually making a movement that's creating violence on college campuses, like you have with people from the left with this Marxist kind of ideology. So I think we need to call it out for what it is and see where the threat is coming from, and definitely not just spread the blame.
All right. Thanks to both of you for being with us. Appreciate it as always. 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number.
Hannity Headline, a bite-sized version of the show that you can take with you everywhere you go. To sign up today for Hannity Headlines, go to Hannity.com. Exposing government waste and abuse of your liberties every day. Sean Hannity is on right now.
All right, 25 till the top of the hour. Toll free. Our telephone number is 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. All right, let's get to our busy phones. We'll start with a liberal in Atlanta, News Talk, WSB. It's Karen standing by. Karen, hi, how are you? And glad you called.
Hi, Sean. Haven't spoken to you in a while. How are you?
I'm good. What's happening, liberal Karen? What could I do for you? Listen, if you're upset about the election, let your heart be troubled.
I'm not. I'm really not. Because I don't think he's going to do half the things that most people think he's going to do. That's just my assessment.
Well, then I would say to you, then that's going to be bad for the country. Listen, here's what the country needs. We need jobs. We need to protect our homeland. And we
And
need
we have
more
that,
military strength. No, we don't have that. I
Yes,
mean,
we do.
All right, so Ohio State University yesterday. All right, do you have a problem?
He was a crazed man, just like Dylan
crazed
Roof.
man.
I want to say he had mental
Okay.
issues.
Why do we have so many crazy people acting in the name of radical Islam?
Well, why was Dylan Roof acting in the name of being a racist?
Listen, there are crazy people, but there seems to be an overwhelming number of people that are jihadists.
Well, why was Dylan Roof? What was he?
He was a lunatic.
Okay, well, so was this guy. So you can't separate one lunatic from the other. Because who sent
The problem is radical Islam is now spreading like a cancer worldwide, and its desire is to advance a worldwide caliphate. And we see all that has happened across Europe, and we see what happened at Ohio State, and we see what happened in Chattanooga and San Bernardino and Orlando, and we know, of course, what happened on 9/11, and we know about all the other attacks.
Those people, they have their own agenda. I'm not saying that I'm for that, but I wasn't for Dylan Roof going into Charleston and killing 9 innocent people.
All right, you're now repeating yourself as though there's some comparison. That is an isolated. Radical Islam is an orchestrated attempt to advance a worldwide caliphate of live or convert or die. And if you don't see it, I'm not going to convince you. But I'll tell you this: if we cut corporate taxes, we'll create jobs. I'll tell you this, if we bring back repatriated money and we target it especially towards cities and towns that have been devastated by the Obama economy, we'll be better off. If we eliminate Obamacare, families are going to save money. If we become energy independent, the lifeblood of our economy, that's going to benefit every American. We send education back to the states, that's going to be great for every American. These are things that will change the country for the better. We've tried it your way. It hasn't worked. And my advice is that we move in a new direction. And apparently the country agrees with me for once. I tried to warn everybody what would happen with Obama, and apparently my warnings, my admonitions were not listened to. Anyway, back to our phones as we say hi. Oh, my buddy Wayne, the Wayne Dupree Show, at Wayne Dupree Show on Twitter. How are you, my friend? What's going on?
Hey, big brother, what's going on?
By the way,
How you doing?
Your partner was belting me on Twitter the other day. Tell her I paid attention. He's like, no Romney. Yeah. No, you better tell Trump I said no Romney. I said, okay, I'll tell him. Right away, whatever you say.
Yeah, they're really going at that. But you know what, big brother? Listen, I have a problem with this double standard of Hillary Clinton not being held accountable for what she did as Secretary of State, and I really don't want anybody to allow that to get away. I mean, and I know that you've talked about the young Navy sailor who took photos on the submarine that got jail time, and I know when I served, before I got my top secret clearance, I had a top secret clearance with a special background investigation when I worked with the stealth fighter unit at Tonopah Test Range. They gave us a class. And, Sean, I was afraid. I was afraid every time my name got called to go in and work with those technical orders because I knew that I was in charge of that. And if I did anything wrong or if something was wrong, I could be facing jail time. I was afraid. And it seems like it seems like she's getting away with what she did at the State Department, which...
Well, we don't know. Listen. First of all, it's not Donald Trump's decision. Everybody needs to understand, as a matter of fact, it's wrong for a president to politically insert himself into a criminal investigation. That is the job of law enforcement. That will be the job of the Justice Department. That will be the job of our new Attorney General, who I believe will be Senator Sessions. So at the end of the day, Donald Trump can say A, B, or C, but it's going to be up to the Justice Department, the Attorney General. It should be based on evidence. It should be based on facts. And knowing Senator Sessions as well as I do, I think that's what he will do. Anyway, Wayne, I love you, my friend. When are you going to invite me back on your show?
Look, I want you to come on. The people, the Trump supporters really love you when you come on. So you come on anytime you want to. As a matter of fact, you can take over the show. I'll just sit back and listen.
All right, Wayne. God bless you. And I'm thankful for your friendship. You've been a good friend over the years and proud of your success and happy for everything that's going well for you. All right, back to our busy telephones as we say hi to Chris, who's in Clifton Park in New York. Chris, how are you? Glad you called.
Hey, good, Sean. I got a birthday coming up, and I don't like the number, so I'm going to ask for a recount.
I think that's probably about, you'll have as good a chance as Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton of successfully changing your age.
That's why I'm calling. I just wanted to say that I really believe that Hillary clearly is behind this, but she cannot be too out front about it, because what I think is going to happen is if she's seen as spearheading this effort for these bogus recounts, any bet that she had with Trump about prosecution or DOJ or FBI going after her further, I think the more she's seen at the spearhead of this, the more that she's going to put herself in jeopardy. She should walk away right now for a lot of reasons, for the good of the country, number one. But I think the more she stays entangled in this, the worse off it's going to be for her.
Listen, I totally agree with you. I think in many, many ways that Hillary Clinton, I think Trump was trying to be magnanimous. He was trying to be gracious. He was trying to be a gracious winner. He was trying to bring the country together, which any president-elect is apt to do. Now, with all that said, look, he can say all he wants that they're good people. I don't want to bring specific harm to them, but it isn't really the call of the president. I mean, that's why our justice system is separate and apart. Now, any president would have the power of the pardon. So if Barack Obama wants to pardon Hillary as he's headed out the door, that's fine, but he's going to have to make that decision on his own. But, I think all the evidence is clear. I mean, David Petraeus paid a big price. Christian Saucier paid a big price. So many others have been in jail or lost their careers for far less than what she has done. And, I think those people that were saying drain the swamp, that means we can't have a two-tiered justice system just because your last name is a Clinton or any other famous last name. All right? Thank you, Chris. Mary Alice in Montana. What's up, Mary Alice? How are you? Glad you called.
Oh, thank you so much for taking my call. I kind of am agreeing with your caller from earlier. I'm just so tired. I felt like we finally got, some hope again, and that our country's going to head in the right direction. And it's still like, I feel like at any moment the ball's going to drop. There's so much momentum from the media, from people like Joe Stein wanting to back this effort to delegitimize the election. And it's so frustrating. I don't know what to do. And I listen to your show every day, and I hope I can be a leader in my community and spread your word. But it makes me feel like it's a slap in the face, and I don't, you can't even turn on regular news anymore, and it's really disappointing. I find it's just terrible.
Listen, I could tell you that this is only going to get worse, and this is my prediction, is that the left, the very people that need crayons and coloring books and Play-Doh and aromatherapy, that, the next phase for them is going to be anger. And their anger is going to be, I think, on display in a major, major way. And that's going to be trouble for the country. That's going to be trouble for Donald Trump. Anyway, I got to...
He's going to do a great job. Thank you.
All right. By the way, we called our friend Ainsley Earhart from Fox and Friends because since we've been away on Thanksgiving, her book, Take Heart, My Child, became the #1 New York Times bestseller, and we wanted to congratulate her. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Can you believe it?
That's great. Of course I can believe it. Yes. I predicted it.
Well, it's because you've helped me so much, and your listeners and your fans, they are so loyal to you, Sean, and I appreciate you talking about my book.
It has a great message. I heard you did a 6.5-hour book signing in South Carolina. Is there any truth to that?
I did.
Really?
Yes,
6?
yes.
Wow. But that's like a homecoming, right?
Yeah, it was great. I'm from that city, and then in addition to that, the state newspaper did a huge spread on the book and my career. And then I went to college there, and after college, I worked there for 5 years at the local TV station. So my hometown is amazing. It's the same place that Hootie and the Blowfish are from, and everyone who grew up in South Carolina loves South Carolina. Most people don't leave, and if you do leave, you always have a foot there in the South.
Let me ask you a question, because this came up on the program yesterday, and I was a New Yorker who then lived in Rhode Island, California, Alabama, and Georgia. So
I know.
I felt like I learned a lot about the country by going down south. I think my sensibilities are Southern. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love country music. I like to wear jeans and T-shirts. I mean,
you probably understand why Trump won.
Yes.
Because of those experiences. Because people in New York and people in California don't understand the South and don't understand the flyover states. Most of them don't. They're hardworking Americans. They're simple people. They don't need lavish lifestyles. Most of them don't even get on the plane until they're in college or after college. Most people don't. They're just middle-class Americans who go to church on Sundays, who raise their kids, and values are extremely important to them.
Isn't that the heart of what really makes our country great, though? I mean, you're describing my parents. I know I met your parents when they were in town. We had your dad on the TV show, and he represents, I think, everything that's good about this country. People that work hard and play by the rules and pay their taxes. Remember, Obama made fun of people clinging to their guns, God, Bibles, and religion. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong with that? That's me. That's my life.
Right.
And
you remind me of a Southerner, actually, Sean.
I mean, I am in my heart. I mean, and I felt like I grew up. It was such a great experience for me because I love people all over this country. And then I had the great pleasure of traveling to every state in the course of my 21 years at Fox and this radio show. And I met so many people. And I think, you're right. I don't think New York, California, D.C., San Francisco understand all of that red that's in the middle.
Right. Well, I mean, I met a lot of your neighbors when I was out at the book signing out in Huntington, out on Long Island.
Right.
And those are just salt of the earth, great people, like where you grew up. But I guess when I say New York, I mean the city. And I'm not putting the city down because I absolutely love New York City. I still get a high when I walk down the streets of New York because
I'll put it down. There are rats and roaches and mice, but go ahead.
I absolutely love it because of what it stands for me. It stands for the great American dream because I wanted to be in New York so badly, and I worked really hard to get to the national level in my profession, and even working the weekends and overnights and all of that. So for me, it stands for if you work hard, you can achieve your goals and your dreams can come true.
Hey, it really is. And, that's one thing that we do have in common. I went all around the country and I was like a gypsy living from town to city to town and city in a radio, just in radio studios. And
you paid your dues.
Yeah, you pay your dues. And I know you spent years in South Carolina and in Texas. What was it like as a Southerner, though, to come up to New York? Was there a culture shock?
There really wasn't because I wanted it so badly. And also, the best place for me to be, based on my background, was to go to Fox News. Fox News is a great home. It allowed me to live in New York, but it also allowed me to be a part of this fantastic family of great support and people who who are moral and have just their heads on straight.
Yeah,
I've loved working there.
It is amazing.
You're a big part of that. I mean, you took me under your wing from the very beginning. You're just a mentor to me, and you always have been. You believed in me and helped me along the way, and I really appreciate it.
But the stories you tell in your book about your dad, I think, are reflective. It's funny because I sent my son a note today, and he's now going off to college, and I just tried to give him the best advice I could, and I would imagine those notes that your dad left at the table every day were the same types of things he was telling you.
Yeah, exactly. What was the advice you gave your son?
Follow dad's rules. And, honestly, I talked to him about, what are the pitfalls for any kid in college? Drinking, drugs, how to treat women, how to be a good boyfriend. I don't know, if you have a girlfriend, and that he has a job to do. His job is school. He happens to be playing sports and to be a good teammate to his teammates and to be a leader. And if somebody's going to get in trouble, you're the guy that has to stand up and say, hey, you better not do that. Don't do that. And
that's great.
Yeah, just really simple.
It doesn't fall on deaf ears. Sometimes your kids don't listen to you or you don't think that they do, but they really are listening. We didn't like it when Dad was leaving us these notes next to our cereal bowl every single day. He was always trying to teach us a lesson. We're like, Dad, can't you just be cool? Can't you have a great conversation with us? But now I'm so grateful, Sean. I mean, he was strict. He was really tough on us, and he expected a lot from us. But I'm so thankful. All three of us we can all stand on our own 2 feet, and autonomy was very important in our household, and they didn't spoil us. Yeah,
I wasn't spoiled, and I got hit with the belt a lot, and I deserved it every time. I have to run, but anyway, the book is called Take Heart, My Child, and I think you're selling autographed copies on your website, right?
Yes, I am, and I think you can get the autographed copies through Hannity.com. I think you have a link on your site.
Right, we still have a link on our site.
That link?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm selling the autographed copies there, but today is Give Back Tuesday. It's #Giving Tuesday. So if you're in line with someone and you're buying coffee, buy coffee for the person behind you, or if you buy the book, some of the proceeds go to Folds of Honor, which is a great organization.
That's a great charity.
That provides assistance.
All right,
scholarships to the kids of fallen soldiers.
It's a great book for any of the kids in your life. Ainsley, thank you, Fox and Friends, and the book is called Take Heart, My Child, #1 New York Times bestseller. Congratulations.